Hey guys, welcome back to the Football Diary podcast. And if you can, while you're here, please hit subscribe and hit like on our video. That'd be really appreciated to help us out. But we're here to talk about the transfers so far in July in the summer transfer window. It feels like it's been a long time since we've had any football to talk about with the Euros ending. So we are literally looking through the rumour mill now and figuring out what can we talk about, what's standing out to us. The biggest one, I think, the biggest talking point is probably Manchester United. So Dave, I'll ask you to jump in on this one. Jadon Sancho has been going on for over a year now. Looks like it's imminent. We're literally waiting for the announcement about it. Raphael Varane has come on the scene as well. That looks like it's very close, although there are a few differences in valuation, it seems, between Real Madrid and Manchester United. Let's talk hypotheticals then, Dave. If those two are to go ahead, what does that do for United? What does that do for the balance in the team for you?
It adds, obviously, a great deal of strength and depth. Two areas really where been kind of United fans have been shouting and screaming for strength to be added to this area, and particularly the right wing. That's been going on for a number of years now. But we don't have the right personnel. And, thankfully, obviously, we've got Sancho over the line. It looks it's just a couple of paperwork details, I think, to fill out, and they will be officially announced. And Varane, who we keep hearing, apparently he wants a new challenge, and apparently, from what I read, he actually was looking to leave a year or so ago when Zidane obviously returned to Real Madrid for that last period. He wanted a new challenge then, but apparently Zidane convinced him to stay for another term. Obviously, Zidane's gone now, so I feel as though that's probably the last straw with Varane. I think he's probably looking for new pastures just to experience football. Apparently, United, he supported United as growing up as a young boy. And, apparently, Rio Ferdinand was his idol, and. Yeah, I feel as though apparently when he was a teenager, before Real Madrid got involved, United were close to signing him from France when he was manager. And it was Zidane apparently who got involved before he was Real Madrid manager. Mourinho was manager at the time and convinced him to go to Real Madrid instead. And Mourinho apparently hadn't seen him play football at this point. It was Zidane kind of got him.
Crazy. So United could have had Varane, a decade ago potentially, or 6-7 years ago, which is crazy.
He's been at Real Madrid for 10 years, so it seems crazy to say that, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
I mean, if they do that deal, that's unbelievable. For the price that quoted that as well, even though he's just got a year left on his deal, if United can get him for 50 million euros, it'd be steal in my opinion.
So is it exciting you as a United fan? Are you looking at those two signings and thinking these are the missing pieces? Because United transfer windows historically have been literally last minute signings that aren't really hitting the mark. I'm thinking Fellaini, I'm thinking some Ander Herrera a year late, Harry Maguire a year late. It feels like everything seems so slow for United that these two seem strangely smooth from what's happening so far and what we're hearing.
I think things don't appear as as they actually are in reality. Though I think apparently we've been speaking to Varane's agent for quite a while now, trying to get him to United over the last 2 or 3 years, and it was well known that we wanted Sancho when he left Man City and he went to Dortmund, but obviously Man City wouldn't allow it. So to say that we pass up opportunities on them, I think it's a bit daft and naive to think that. The clubs as big as United, they're always going to have their eyes on talent. It's just whether they can get it over the line. And you'll always hear about managers saying, "Oh, we nearly signed this player." Arsene Wenger in particular used to say it about everyone. Apparently, nearly signed Ronaldo, Zidane.
You get new cool ones as well.
I think in terms of those two players added, brilliant. I still feel as though we need another midfielder or potentially two if Pogba leaves. I'm a bit fed up with the whole circus Pogba's kind of still got going on around him, particularly created by his agent. I'd rather just see him leave or not, one way or the other. I think it just needs to be settled now. And if he's going to go this summer, I'd much prefer that because obviously we'll get a bit of money for him. Otherwise, he's on a free next season, and that's the same situation which Varane's in. If he said to Real Madrid, "Look, I want to go," they're going to want to get some money for him now.
Yeah,
that's why I can see it happening. You're always skeptical though, because obviously you hit what happened with Ramos about 5 years ago, and they were saying apparently he wanted to leave and he just ended up signing a contract. But this does feel a little bit different, I think.
Yeah.
It feels as though it is kind of, the player does seem to want kind of experience.
Yeah, Ramos was an annual thing, really, wasn't it? Of him trying to get a better contract with Real Madrid and just throwing United's name in there just to make that happen. But yeah, hopefully, I think Varane, like you say, seems like a United fan of sorts, which is interesting.
Apparently, they're offering Varane 7 million net over a year, and they've given Alaba, who's come in, 12 million net. Like, I think that's quite disrespectful for somebody who's been at the club 10 years. He's been, your best centre back, arguably, along with Ramos, and they, respectfully, it seems as though they're broke. They can't afford to give him a bigger contract, and they want to sell him, get the funds, and apparently there's just this fantasy of getting Mbappe. It's absolutely ridiculous, and that's kind of like neglecting the rest of their team, which is clearly not good enough. It seems just complete nonsense, and that's all these the presidents in particular. Obviously, we had some comments come out from Perez that got released, didn't there? Apparently, some clips. It just kind of shows how they are and what their ideas are, just like massively deluded from reality sometimes. And along with Barcelona, they're both in a bit of a mess. So I suppose we'll see what happens. But
I think Real Madrid are one of those teams that are a bit up in the air at the moment, aren't they? Having said that, they have got rid of a couple of players off their wage bill, haven't they? So the big one being Sergio Ramos, arguably he could have still done a job for them, but he's gone to PSG. And we were saying PSG, like Real Madrid, Champions League semi-finals came around. Both those teams needed a major overhaul. And it's fair to say PSG have gone about their business doing that quite impressively, haven't they? Starting with Sergio Ramos, and plenty more added to that since then. Myles, you want to talk through PSG's crazy transfer journey so far? How have they managed to afford this, first of all? Are they doing what you wanted and hoped they would do? Can you see them, competing again for the Champions League with the players they've got on board? Are they the right players for the system that Pochettino wants to play as well? There's a lot of questions there, isn't there?
It's hard to say whether it's the right players for Pochettino, but I think it's the right players for the club in general so far. I think it's pretty easy to see how they've afforded it because, like everyone in this market, they're relying on free transfers. Now, when you look at the likes of Wijnaldum, Ramos, and particularly Donnarumma, and you wonder how much would it have cost the club to bring players of that caliber in with a transfer fee, that's outstanding business to bring those. Hakimi, definitely. But then to pay for Hakimi on top of that, that's the brilliant signing. They've cashed in on the fact that Inter are broke, clearly.
Yeah.
So really, that's how they've afforded it, by being smart in the market, which isn't something we've ever seen PSG do, really. We've only ever seen them inflate the market. So fair play to them. They seem to have targeted the right areas. I've said to you for a long time, I thought that they were weak at fullback. And if they bring Hakimi in to play right wing back, I think that's a fantastic sign. Hakimi is a wonderful footballer. I think he's so talented. And Inter must be gutted. I'm not sure of what the logic was on letting him go. Obviously, they need the money, and it was basically between selling him or selling Lukaku to bring that funds in. But such a shame for them to not hold on to a title-winning side for a little bit longer. But for PSG, it's a fantastic signing. And they're talking about bringing in Theo Hernandez from AC Milan to play left-back as well. Now that sorts them out immediately. All of a sudden, I look at that team and think, where is the weak point? Which is interesting because before you spotted them quite comfortably. They only really had one strong centre-back and maybe Kimpembe. You could argue that their midfield looked a bit light, their fullbacks were weak, and now all of a sudden they've addressed all of those issues straight away. There are a few things in there that you question. What happens to Keylor Navas now? He's not a goalkeeper that should be sitting on the bench. He's a very, very good keeper. So I wonder whether he may move on. I'm not really sure where, but that's something to consider. They've got a lot of midfielders now as well. Idrissa Gueye, Verratti, Draxler's still there, Paredes, now Wijnaldum as well. How they fit all of those in the system is going to be interesting. So keeping that squad harmony will be tough, I think, but Donnarumma's an outstanding signing. He's going to be the best goalkeeper in the world, I think we can all say quite safely, if he's not already. Hakimi is a wonderful signing, and they've done good business with that. And it was deals that they went about, they said, this is what we want to do, and they did it. That's where I think United differ. Like, you talk really positively about United there, and it's fantastic, but they wanted Sancho a year ago. It didn't happen. United have been linked with Varane every single year for the past, since he was a toddler, it feels like. And I just, as the one non-United fan in the room, I remain sceptical over that. I feel like, he's got a year left on his deal, and all of a sudden it's the closest he's ever been to leaving. I've heard that with Muller. I've heard that with Ramos. How many times do we hear it with Schneider? We'll see. When that deal's done, fair enough. PSG have done their business early. They've got it done. And I don't think they're done yet. I think they'll probably bring in at least one more as well. So fair play to them.
Yeah, I think they look like contenders again. I think they've got a coach as well that can probably gel those players better. I think he needs to offload Pochettino. He needs to offload quite a few average, mediocre players. The midfield is heavily stacked with older players as well that are kind of past their prime. You didn't even mention Ander Herrera as well, who is 33 now. So other than those, their squad's looking quite inflated, but the first 11 looks incredible, doesn't it? Which is it's what Real Madrid need to start addressing as well, because their team's looking particularly light now, isn't it? When they've lost potentially both their centre backs, Ramos and Varane, in one summer, that's not looking too great for them, is it?
Well, they went on a mission a few years ago to pad the squad out with younger talent, and it seemed like the best idea. But what's happened to them? They've not used those younger players, and all of a sudden they've dropped off massively. So, you're right. They've let go Ramos, maybe Varane as well. They've brought in Alaba to counter one of those. But it's not long since they signed Eder Militao. He was meant to be the next big thing. Nacho's still there for a bit of experience as well. So they have players, but they let Theo Hernandez go, and that seems silly. What happened to Dani Ceballos? He's just sat at Arsenal for the last couple of years. There's talk that Odegaard might have to leave again. Asensio's dropped off a cliff. Isco's disappeared. So all of these younger players, or the Spanish core that Madrid were bringing in, they're all gone again. Brahim Diaz has just gone back as well. They've let him. Hakimi was at Real Madrid 2 years ago. So all of these players were there or are there, but they just stagnated there. So I don't really know what Madrid's plan is anymore. They seem to be wanting to save money, but they're making it in weird places by selling people who actually are reliable members of the squad. I think it's odd.
The logic seems to have gone, doesn't it? I mean, the players they need versus the players they want are two completely different things. They're still behaving like they're in the Galactico era, saying, we want Mbappe. We want Haaland. Doesn't everyone, join the queue? But financially, I think that's an unrealistic prospect. So they need to start scouting. Not just scouting, but giving players chances, because they've got some talent on their books, haven't they? The names you've mentioned that have been and gone, it feels like the Chelsea conversation we were having not so long ago, the amount of players they've let through their system because they're not giving them minutes. So, they've got the makings, or have had the makings, of a very talented squad, and they've let most of them slip through their fingers. Weird, isn't it?
I wonder whether that's why they brought Ancelotti back in, just to try and solidify that squad a little bit. He's a safe pair of hands that will probably keep them tying over, maybe bring in a trophy without having to do too much in this summer's window. So maybe they can make a bit of money this year and then go again next year. Maybe that's the strategy. But it just, how many times have Madrid been here? They did this already with Ancelotti when they brought in the likes of Illaramendi and let him go really quickly. Like, we've seen this already. It's short-term bursts of success, but you look at that Madrid team now and think, well, the difference is they don't have Ronaldo. Bale's back, but doesn't look like he's going to go anywhere or play. Hazard's there, and they're never going to get rid of him. Modric and Kroos are all a year older, but still on astronomical wages. But you're never going to offload them. So what do Madrid do next? The only success that Madrid have got is they're not the most embarrassing Spanish side right now. Barcelona are far worse. It's bizarre.
Well, I don't know. Barcelona have somehow managed to keep Messi on half his salary, but I think that's more down to Messi's love of Barcelona, which is fairly admirable. But
something dodgy is going on there. I guarantee it will come out in 6-12 months. Something dodgy has happened to make that happen. I cannot believe that deal. Something is weird there. They're also begging Pjanic to go on a free after spending 50 million on him last year, saying they're going to sell Coutinho for 20 million, trying to get Griezmann back to Atletico Madrid. Like they have not got a clue what's going on right now at Barcelona. There's something weird about that Messi deal. You are?
Umtiti as well, at centre back.
Just giving them away, aren't they?
You forget
something
about it.
Weird's going on.
To go on a free as well, aren't they?
Well, again, it's just really ridiculous scattergun transfers. I mean, I love Griezmann. I think he's a decent player, but they paid silly money for him. Ousmane Dembele, silly money. Felipe Coutinho, ridiculous amount of money. And the team, that they came from must have been laughing at the amount of money they got. It helped Liverpool get to where they are now, that they sold Coutinho for that kind of money. It's ridiculous.
But then you look at them this
I can't see them offloading them either for this anywhere near the same kind of fee. That's the scary thing. They're kind of locked into these players, and they've got nobody who's probably going to be able to command any kind of transfer that's going to take them off their hands. So they'll have to take cut price deals for them, won't they?
And you just listed all those attacking players that they've got that they can't manage to shift. So what's their idea? Let's bring in Aguero and Depay. I understand them were free transfers. That was the other thing. They signed Depay, and then within a week, they were begging him to take a wage cut. They're honestly, whatever's going on in Barcelona right now it's a joke.
Well, I've also heard Aguero saying, I'm happy to play sort of second fiddle. I'm happy to be a substitute. What the hell is going on there? They announce him as this big free transfer signing, yet he's just going to sit on the bench. A year after letting Luis Suarez go to Atletico. It's just a crazy policy. Is there any policy there in place for them at all?
No,
it's bizarre, isn't it? Anyway, back to the Premier League. There's not been much to talk about on the Premier League front. The standout transfers for me are Emi Buendia to Aston Villa. I think that's great business. 38 million, something like that. Any other transfers stand out for you so far? Any other business that you think, do you know what, that looks like it's going to be smart? Anyone winning the transfer market, if that's such a thing? Myles, I'll start with you. Buendia obviously is top of the list.
I'm really, really happy with how Villa are going about things so far. They've managed to bring in Buendia, which I think is fantastic. We needed a bit more creativity in that side, so we weren't over-relying on Grealish. But he's a fantastic player, Buendia. I've watched enough of him and think that his technical ability is outstanding. He's got such a mind for where the goal is, how to create those chances. His movement is fantastic. So, that's a wonderful, wonderful signing. And I think it shows Villa's intentions. They weren't going to spend much this summer because they'd spent so much in the last couple of windows. And now they go, actually, we can target a place in the top 6 here if we invest a bit of cash. So bringing in him, bringing in Young for a bit of leadership and a bit of stability and a bit of backup at fullback is fantastic. There's big talk today that Leon Bailey from Bayer Leverkusen might come in for about 30 million. And that would be a brilliant signing because he's wonderful. But just seeing the names that are being linked with Villa just fills me with confidence because it shows the level we're at. It shows that we're back into a really good position. People have noticed what we achieved last season, seen what Smith's trying to achieve, seen what Grealish has been able to do at the club. There's talk that he's going to sign a new deal this week or next as well, which is fantastic. So all the talk of him going to Man City, I think, is ludicrous. It's just paper talk. But even the intention of Villa, all right, we might not get him, but Villa going for Smith Rowe, for example, I'll be 100% honest here. I'd be a little bit underwhelmed. I know Arsenal fans absolutely love him. I've not seen enough about Smith Rowe to make me think that he's worth 35 million at this stage. Maybe he will be one day, but just the fact that Villa were going, no, let's try it. I love that. It's brilliant. We were in the Championship 2 seasons ago, so that's brilliant. Other than that, the window's been pretty quiet so far. Obviously, Leicester brought in Samare. That's a good signing.
And Daka as well.
And Daka looks like he could be a really good addition as well. As Vardy starts to slow slightly and they need to look for goals elsewhere, that could be a really good deal. But other than that, it's been a pretty quiet market. Most of it's free transfers so far. No one's getting excited about Andros Townsend and Begovic signing for Everton, are they? Let's be honest. It's a bit
What's going
underwhelming.
on at Everton? That's such a weird season. I mean, Raphael Benitez from the start being there is strange enough. But yeah, those two signings are bizarre, aren't they?
Yeah.
But I'm looking at Liverpool as well. They've signed, obviously, Ibrahim Konate as well, who looks a decent price as well. 36 mil, I thought was about right for him. That looks like good business. Dave, anyone screaming great transfers to you yet?
The only one I was thinking is Palace have looked like they're opting to invest in youth, isn't it? I think they signed, is it Elisa from Reading?
Yeah.
Well, a really good prodigy. That's obviously what they did last season. Bringing in name slip from me from QPR.
Eze.
Yeah. It seems like a similar sort of signing to that. Like they feel is capable to make the step up. So it'd be interesting to see. And it's always nice to kind of see new youth come in and challenge themselves and see if they're good enough. So it'd be interesting to see where they go with that. Because that Crystal Palace team is aging massively.
Well, they've let most of them go, haven't they? That's the thing. Patrick Vieira's in charge now, isn't he? And he's had to oversee a huge makeover there. And I think so far they've got 2 or 3 decent young players in, which is what they needed to change the direction of the club. But what a massive job he's got in his hands. I mean, that's a whole other pod there talking about whether Patrick Vieira is the right man for Crystal Palace. But
that's been the most exciting thing of the summer so far, though. Really, the manager appointments. It doesn't seem like any club that have hired a new manager have actually got who they wanted. Everyone seems to have settled for someone else. So Palace wanted Lucien Favre, apparently, and that never worked out. Everton were linked with everyone before they eventually fell on Benitez. Tottenham, obviously, we haven't even mentioned, and they brought in Nuno. Now they're being linked with Galini, who I watched at Villa, and he's all right, but flipping heck, that's an underwhelming one. There's talk of some big moves that I think would be interesting, but nothing. It's a COVID window still. I feel like it's delaying the inevitable, where in 12 months' time, then we'll see some moves. But these clubs talking about signing Chiesa from Juventus, it's never going to happen. They've only just brought him in. That's never going to happen. Haaland's not going to move this summer now.
Yeah, there's a few players that you think. I think Locatelli is one I've seen mentioned quite a lot as well. I've not seen much.
Froze for me there.
Yeah, it's all right now.
Sorry, guys, I lost you there for a minute.
Yeah, not sure what happened there. We're talking about Locatelli.
Yeah, there's a few clubs linked with Locatelli. I think Arsenal will link with him as well, but that's just not going to happen, is it? Surely.
Maybe with him, because he's at Sassuolo. So if they are a club that will sell, they need to make some money. So 34 to 40 million, maybe. Although I think it's more likely that he'll end up at Juventus if he goes. The one that I would keep my eye out for, and I think would be a fantastic addition for anyone that brings him in, and I've seen him linked with, I think, Arsenal, Liverpool, Tottenham, and Man United, but I don't think he'll go to United, is Aouar from Lyon.
Yeah.
Now, he was linked with Arsenal last summer as well, and apparently the price has dropped since then somehow, but he's just got a year older and better in my mind. I think he's a fantastic midfielder. I'd love to see him play in the Premier League. And Camavinga, there was talk of Camavinga coming to Man United as well. If he could make the move, that would be fantastic to see as well. So there are potential deals there, but I think a lot of it is pie in the sky. Lewandowski's not going to leave Bayern, let's be honest. Dortmund have sold Sancho, so I can't imagine them letting Haaland go, particularly when they're saying they want 150 million, but he'll be available for 73 next season. No one's got the money to do that right now, so he'll probably wait. So I think it could be a quieter window than we expect. The interesting one's whether Kane goes. I don't think that's going to happen now. It's gone very quiet.
Well, I don't know. It depends if anyone can afford the kind of fee that's been put on his head. Doesn't it?
Exactly.
You're talking north of £100 million again.
You're ending up with a lot of players in the Wilf Zaha zone, as we would call it, where they're worth more to their club than they are to anyone else, or more than they can afford it. Man City aren't going to spend over 100 million on Grealish. They're not going to spend 100 million on Harry Kane when he's getting older and not necessarily in the peak of his condition. So a lot of these players are going to have to wait out their contracts now, and that's why we've seen so many free transfers. When was the last time you saw a list of free transfers of the caliber of Depay, Aguero, Wijnaldum, Garcia, Donnarumma, Ramos. I'm sure there's more that I'm forgetting.
Yeah.
Alaba, like ridiculous.
I'm just trying to think if we were playing Football Manager and that came up where all those players were available on a free, it'd be unheard of, wouldn't it? Yeah, mental. Man City haven't made any moves for anybody yet. Liverpool have signed just the single player so far. Chelsea have yet to sign anyone, although they've got a few to get rid of. So there's a few kind of scopes for potential big moves ahead. I've not seen anyone linked with these teams yet, so we'll see what direction they take. I'm sure Man City will have people lined up. I'm sure Guardiola's got a few people he wants to add to the squad he's got because, you know, he wants that holy grail of the Champions League, doesn't he, at the end of the day? And he's got to kind of keep up with the PSGs now to make that happen.
What do you think he needs to strengthen, though? Other than the obvious way they need a striker, I think they probably would have looked to replace Sterling, but he's been so brilliant in the Euros that maybe not now. So what does City do next?
They're still not really, I don't think, fully replaced Fernandinho, to be honest. I don't think Rodri's up to the job particularly. And a striker. If you fill those two positions with absolute world-class quality, with Harry Kane and another in the middle, then they're looking like a dangerous team, aren't they? Let's face it. It's like game over, I think. If they signed Kane, it would be goals galore at the front end of their team. Really would. Okay. But that's pie in the sky. Harry Kane, I think, is going to be a Tottenham player this season. I really do. Yeah. I don't think he wants to be a Tottenham player at the minute, but they've got Nuno in charge of the team. Maybe that'll change his mind, change their direction. Who knows?
Do you think any of those managerial appointments are really inspiring? No,
I'm really shocked at the lack of ambition. Yeah. Really. Everton's the one that's really shocked me to see. That's mad. Rafa Benitez at Everton. Who'd have thought that 10 years ago? You know, it's crazy. Anyway, I've got nothing else to add there because there's literally no other transfer news to talk about. So until the next pod, when we'll probably delve into more detail about some big names that have moved, that's it for now.
Contract extension.
Yeah, that's kind of it. Really. But thanks again for your time, guys. We'll speak soon and take care.
See you later, guys.